Well, how's everybody doing this beautiful day? It's a friend of mine named Zach Hayes. It's his birthday today. He's 42. But anyway, happy birthday, Zach. So how is everybody? I just wanted to say I'm walking. I ate some Chinese food from Chinese Express. It was so good, but I just know it ain't gonna be good for me. Well, 6 of my family members got COVID-19, coronavirus. My little sister's got a COPD. But let me tell you something. How you doing, Connie? With prayer, everything is possible. Everything. Idada Bluga. Ukihi. Everything is possible. Idada Bluga. Ukihi. Everything is possible. Looks like we got a lot of road construction on this here. I gotta really get back on my lessons like I used to. I was so involved in the language. I just feel like I fell out of it. I'm working so much, and when I finally get home, like even now, look, I'm walking. It's probably after 11 now. Anyway, but I gotta get back on it though. We got so much to do in our language. And our Omaha relatives, they invited me to a Zoom invitation tomorrow with fluent speakers. Even though I'm not fluent, semi at best, I just know a lot, and I feel appreciated. We got so many people on the Ponca Reservation that do know the language, but a lot of them don't share it, don't speak it. I could think of multiple speakers in our culture. We got Grandpa Lewis, Grandpa Henry, and Grandpa Sherman, and Uncle Miller Siri that speak fluent. And then we got Grandpa Vince. You know, that was his first language, even though he don't hardly talk it no more, but he understands it. And then my Grandma Julia White Star. And there's a few others, my aunts that are Hinmans, you know, out there in Bresty. Boy, they could flat talk Ponca. I just feel like we need to hurry up and get on it. And you know, in our Usni Ponca, they need to get on it too, because they're fluent speakers. I don't even know how many decades they've been gone. But us Southern Punkers and my state Ponca, I'm golly, there's a whole bunch of us left, but fluent speakers are almost gone. And I can't stress it enough. You know, today I forgot to tell everybody we're going to be closed until further notice. There was 3 people that went to our class that ended up catching that COVID. Not saying they caught it there, but they could have. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we're done for a while. And so that's what I got to start doing, is getting on it and practicing, getting on these verb conjugations and also on these sentences, because I'm telling you, you guys have to really want to speak Ponca to learn. And my niece Kelly, to say daughter in Ponca is Ijonge, but when you say my daughter, you say Wijonge. And to say a firstborn daughter's we know. That means firstborn daughter. And then you asked, what is your name? I don't know if you were asking me my Ponca name, or you just wanting to know how to say that. But a woman, when she says, what is your name? She says, Ijaje, Ditache, Idada. Ijaje, Ditache, Idada. That means, what is your name? A man, he says, Ijaji, Wita. He says, Ijaji, Ditache, Idadawa. Ida dawa. I'm full as a tick too, boy. That's why I had to walk. I had to for sure walk tonight. I was like, boy. That special lo main's weighing heavy on me. But yeah, we have to do that, you guys, and we have to. I'm just telling you. There's some things that we have to, and there's some things we might want to do, but you gotta be healthy and walk and eat better. I tell you, if you gotta work out, at least walk. Oh my God. I'm really tired, and we should rest, but that's what I just said. In Ponca. Oh, means I'm tired. Oh, Zagide means let's rest. Always got to remember that. That when you say I'm sleepy, you say Ajon Tadon Dingue. Ajon Tadon Dingue. That's the proper way to say I'm sleepy. When you abbreviate, you say Ajon Tadon Dingue. And if you ask if you're tired, you would say Ajon Tadon Dingue. Or you can say Dingue. Well, man's way to say, are you sleepy? But our Omaha relatives, when they talk, though, they say, if they're asking you if you're tired, they'll say, Dajon ti dingue. Dajon ti dingue. Are you sleepy? Are you sleepy? But that's how they talk, though. They say it a little different. I don't know why, but I understand it, though. So I'm kind of excited if we got this thing going on Zoom. Sometimes I gotta pay attention. Like I said, I'm not a fluent speaker. Never claimed to be, but I can say a lot of things and get my point across or say what I want to say. But sometimes, boy, I'm telling you, when you talk to a fluent speaker, they chop it up so much. I'm talking about abbreviations, and that's just because they're fluent. You know, Omaha relatives, I really gotta pay attention because they really they chop things down. I can hear somebody in the distance. I'm like the only one out here, relatives. We know, means only I. Yeah. Only I. Only I am. And another thing, I ain't never learned to say yawn and ponka. There's a word, I just don't know it. But yeah, I don't know. Brian, see if you could look it up in that dictionary and see what it is, brother. When you sneeze, you say, hey, there's two ways I heard it said, hey, choo, hey, chink. Anyway, you see, when you say smile, you say, Ija jinga, Ija jinga. That means like a little laugh, but that's what the word that's used for smile. When you cry, chage, or you can say chede. That's something that causes one to cry. Chede. Or if you say cry baby, you say chageshta. Or some people might say chageshta, but I always say chageshta. But you just gotta pay attention to the differences when people speak. Some are slang, some are correct, some are just understood. That's just the way it is. That lake right there is called Lake Ponca. When you say lake in Ponca, you say ne tonga, ne tonga. Instead of some people might say ni tonga, but it's not. It's ne tonga. Excuse me. That's what that is right there. Ponca ne tonga. That's Lake Ponca. That's what I just said. Lake Ponca. And these right here, these are light poles. They're called damn. All of a sudden, I'm forgetting. Monze tishi. Monze tishi. Well, when you say light pole, I guess you say ugan. Ugan. Damn, how do I say it? I gotta think. Monze tishi. Ugan, ba. That's a light pole. And right now, these wajingama jayekhti. These birds out here chirping. Jayekhti. They're really talking right now. Can you hear them? And then, no, this is Waglishka. Waglishka. Wagyan. These insects are flying all over. Wagyan. Anyway, it seems quiet, too quiet out here sometimes. Even though I hear them insects, but you gotta be aware, because even out here in Oklahoma, Omaha's, when I hear this word, iglonga, I think of a common house cat. But an iglonga to a ponca, that means a panther. There's panthers around here. Or you can say iglansi snede. And that's an abbreviated word, but that word is designated for mountain lion. Its real word is inglonga sinde snede. Inglonga sinde snede, but you abbreviate to inglansi snede. That means a mountain lion, and it literally means a cat with a long tail. So you gotta be paying attention. Last week I saw you say taktima. Last week I saw deer, a lot of deer out here. Kind of startled me. It's like they came out of the water. So anyway, and then I always Mika ma awatambe not ma. I always see raccoons out here too. It's like no wind out here. It's so stuffy walking. I'm serious. It's like no wind. I can't even see nothing. Feels still, humid. It's Oklahoma weather. I'm just not getting used to it still. All these years I've been away from Oklahoma in a federal prison. But yeah, there ain't no wind. Tade zingai. Tade zingai. A lot of people say Tade, but it's not. Tade. Tade zingai. There's no wind. And so one thing that we got to do is just keep on pushing, relatives. Especially when we get older. If you start when you're in your 20s and keep going, that's good. But when you're old and fat like me, excuse me, I'm burping up Chinese. Oh, anyway, when you say Chinese food, remember, there's differences between Japanese and Chinese, and then you can just say Oriental. But whenever you say Chinese, it's called Asku snede. Do you guys know what Asku is? Hold on, let me see what brand. I put my glasses on with my bifocals. That's right, because when you say, Barbara, when you say awatambe, that means I see them. That's plural. That means that, like if I say, we tambe, I seen you, we tambe, not we dambe, we tambe. means I see you, or Atambe, it is I who saw her, or it, or him. When you say Awatambe, I saw them. It could be present or past tense when you say it that way. And then you can change it to Tamike for future. Oh, excuse me. Or you can say Mike for past participle. You're really emphasizing past. Wagyan, yeah. Let me tell you something. That word Wagyan also means a thunderbird. And then when you talk about thunder beings or thunder gods, the old way, you say Wakanda da. You add a da on, and that means a thunder god or thunder being. And it made me think of, there's only a few ways I know how to say God is Nika Wasant. It means God or deity. Wache. Hate to say it, that's what we call white people, but that also means God. And then Wakanda is an act that people used to do, but it referred to God being like him. And it's also understood as God in modern day. But when you say Wakanda da, that was talking about a thunder being, or a thunder god, or thunder deity. Then also when you say Wakanda gi, in modern times we use that for monster. Or they say water monster, but really what it meant was a water deity or water god. I just walked a little mile and believe me, I'm fat. Yes. That is the correct form, Barbara, when you say Inglanga Sinde Snede. That means a long-tailed cat. But it's abbreviated to England since Snede. That's right. I can't speak Chinese, China. I learned Satane Halingao, that means chop off his effing head. When you say Chungina, that means I need chicken. Mufan means rice. I learned a lot of words when I was young, Brian, when I was working with Chinese. Kind of lost a lot too, though. But whenever you say, if I was to say I could speak Chinese, listen. Well, yes, water. No, not means water god, not plural. You would have to say Wakanda gi ma or Wakanda gya ma to make it plural, to put the S on it, Barbara, sister. But Brian, when you say I speak Chinese, you would say Asku snede iye te uwakihi. I can speak Chinese. Or you can also say Asku snede iye uwakihi instead of uwakihi or uwakihi. Either way, it's all understood. And I just hope on this invitation I get, because I'm going to be talking with a few fluent speakers, and sometimes I just don't think I'm good enough. And I probably ain't. But the thing is
Capital One knows life doesn't alert you about your credit.
When I tell you guys, I always say, or you could, that's one way to say it, or you could always say, Achant is the correct way to say it. Sometimes I say chant, but it's chant. That also means I really try, or I really make an effort, or really attempt something, but you don't hardly hear that all the time, but that's the old way that I heard. And you can look it up in them dictionaries, and even in the Omaha, they'll tell you. But the most common way is it's attachant. When you say achant, it's an abbreviation. How it's an abbreviation, I don't know. I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to ancient ways or not decades, but centuries of speaking that way. To see the abbreviation is what I mean. To see the abbreviation. I know some abbreviations, like I might know a few hundred of them, but that abbreviation, it doesn't register in my mind. But in a way, I guess it does, because when you see the T and the Ch, they're abbreviations, but when you use that CH, I was told it was more for women and children, boy or girl children. Like when you say Wada, I about said something wrong. Hold on. Let me give you a good example. Oh, the H Wade. The H Wade. In slang, we say the H. In Ponca and Whitey, that's how we say it. Slang, the H, or la H, with an L. That's how a lot of us say it. My age and younger. I'm talking about someone's pitiful or going through hard time or difficulty. But they say the proper way that a man will always speak. He won't speak it with saying the H Wade. He say the H Wade. The H Wade. Or when you say creek, you say Wachishka. Or you say Watishka. So let me rephrase that. I guess it could be that way. Now that I think about it. See, sometimes it takes me to talk to people to start paying attention. You know what I mean? Because I don't got no one to dialogue with and question every day. But when I think about it, I guess the T and the CH do. I guess that would be abbreviation. Because then when they're saying that it's improper that women and children, especially adolescent children, use that the H or that Ch. Like you could say Wati Ninika. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but I'm going to tell you it means butterfly. Or you can say hummingbird, you say Wajinga Wati Ninika. Or you say Wachi Ninika. Or you say Wachi Chinika. 3 different ways I've heard butterfly being said in Ponca. And I never thought about it like that. I guess they correlate together or go hand in hand because those are all T and Chi, the T sound and the Ch. So see, like I said, I need to write that down in my book to show that. You know what I mean? But it took me talking with you guys, even though I'm not really getting questioned or nothing. Brother, you know I love them Chinese Express days. That's why I went. They gave me the Chinese hookup, baby. They love me. And sister, I can't wait till you get down here. Yes, that's how you say it. But the way you're writing it, sister, that's Omaha. Same thing to say, though. But listen, we got to get that deal. Our friend that's in Japan or whatever, sister, I'm telling you, we got to get that keyboard because Grandpa Lewis has that keyboard. And somebody sent it to me, and they said you could paste it. But, me and Carla tried. I couldn't get it to work. And then let me tell you something. If you guys are watching out there, whether it's Peggy Smith, Sister Peggy, or Brother Bruce, listen, Bruce, you know the Ponca way and Ponca line, and you know the way to write Ponca. You were taught by Grandpa Lewis and the way to write it. But you're changing that now. I don't understand why you're changing that because he told me that he taught you. I'm not getting on to you. I'm just trying to show you something about why you're changing it because some people asked me and they told me that they said this is the only way to write it. And I told them, I said, that's an Omaha one. That's not a bad thing you're saying that, but remember something, you're Ponca. There's differences in our way we write it, and and we say a little bit, but the thing is, I'm not talking bad about you Omaha relatives either, but I'm talking about Ponca have their own writing system, and that's what we do. And I'm going to stick to that because I studied 5 different ways, counting that Grandpa Lewis's way. And let me tell you something. You're pronouncing it. I wrote so many letters to Grandpa Lewis exclusively in Ponca. And he told me, he said, one that can understand fluent Ponca would be able to understand this letter that you're writing me. But he said, but those that are learning to speak Ponca, they would not be able to properly speak it because it is so obscure when you're writing it that way. And he's not talking bad about nobody, but we got a system that he did. He worked with some brilliant people. Let me tell you something. And the way that you see me writing, and Grandpa Wilkie, if you're listening, you got to say you can't understand that, but you got to be willing to learn. And I'm not talking about learn Ponca. I know you've been around Ponca your whole life, Grandpa, but when I'm talking about willing to learn the letters, the alphabet, then you could read everything that I'm writing. Then you could speak, or like anything that I hear spoken in Ponca or Omaha, I can translate it, and I could all write every bit of it in our Ponca alphabet or the Omaha alphabet because I know both exclusively. Not saying I'm anything because I ain't. And I know Dorsey's way. I mean, there's so many other people. I know every way there is to be wrote in Ponca, whether there's a C with a slash to it that means TH, or a D with a slash to it going horizontal, but the C with a slash going vertical, that means TH too, because it just depends. Or you got a circle with an X on top of it, means a TH, but you got to know what you're doing when you're reading and writing Ponca. And always, and every single way that has been written, except for German, Deutsch, I could explain every one of them and teach on it. Because it took years of studying and years of practice and dedication. That's why I'm good at what I do. But I got so much more to learn. Don't ever think of masa or yeah, masa. Mange, because I'm not. But the thing is I'm willing to learn. And I learned every way that the Omaha wrote throughout the years, from beginning with James Owen Dorsey to present day Omaha, through Grandma Alice Sensosi Zinge. Not talking bad because she's passed away. I loved Grandma Alice. Was a brilliant, fluent speaker. Her work is unprecedented, I believe, in the verb system. But I'm willing to try to do something to be compatible, or it's equal with somebody, but I haven't got the chance because of this corona. And let me tell you something. And Uncle Mark Sweatland, his Ponca name was Ulichide. That means to look around, or he who searches. And his work was brilliant. And with my sister, man, there's just so many Omaha relatives. You know, my sister, man, there's so many of them. Some of them passed on too, though. But sister, you know what I'm talking about. The work that you done, and that Sister Barbara done with Uncle Mark is unprecedented. And I ain't lying. I miss him to this day. I get heartfelt. I feel some kind of way, because that man truly loved me. He adopted me in 2008 as his nephew. Etai Tushpa. Or you can say, Toshka, excuse me, I say grandson. You can say, Etai Toshka, his nephew. Or you could just say, Itoshka. Or another way to say it is Itonshka. But I learned Toshka, so you're going to hear people say this or that, but I'm just telling you what I learned. I learned Toshka when I was little, but Grandpa corrected me and said Tonshka, but he also understands the other way too, though. But either way, Toshka and Tonshka are correct. I could tell you so many this ways or that ways, or his, hers, or theirs, or that families, or this families, because I had to pay attention and try to learn all that I could. And you have to remember that. And I could go on in this subject. I could jump to a whole nother subject talking about that. One family uses tigache. One family uses shkade. Hello? One you could say is make-believe play. One is to play as an activity. Or you could say in which is used in sports with balls or any type of sport, or in use of labor. That means to play or to do something. But anyway, like I said, I could go on and on talking about multiple differences and multiple ways to say things, and you got to be willing to learn all of them, because what if they say something you don't understand it? What if they say ma ai, or they say Wakanda pasnede ma ai? Can anyone understand what I just said? Wakanda pasnede ai ti bakhtiara ai. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, the first one is a Ponca way to say elephant. Wakanda means God or a deity or supreme being. Pa is a nose or a snout. Snede is, it's really long. Wakanda pa snede. Ti bakhtiara. Ti bakhtiara. That's reference to something with the strength to push over a house, and they're referring to an elephant. But my point is you got to be willing to understand, and if someone's a fluent speaker, they're thinking, well, obviously, you know, they're talking about something that could push a house over. Maybe even a rhino could do it. You know what I mean? I don't know. But the point, what I'm trying to say is, you got to understand, and just you know, most Poncas, they understand when you say kipit nange ditache ji dea. That's a woman saying, "Is your car red?" Kipit nange ditache Jit there. Is your car red? Okay, now check this out. I just said keep eating nonge. Ditake. Jit there. Now I'm gonna change it. Kino nonge. Didi tate. Jit de one. I just asked you in a man's way for Omaha to say, is your car red? Kino nonge. Kino nonge. They say car different or automobile different than we do. But both are understood by Ponca and Omaha. But if you was to say, Kino nonge. Didi tate. No, no, my car broke down. That Omaha said that. Omaha said that in that way. But a Ponca won't say that. He would say, Kipinonge witache. No, my car broke down. You see the difference? But see, by you not understanding and not be willing to learn, when people say, oh, that's an Omaha way. But yes, Omahas are our brethren. And Poncas are Omaha's brethren. And you have to be willing, because we're, like I tell you, I can't say it enough, we're on the verge of extinction. You said, well, we're not dead. We still got our DNA. But let me tell you something. Once that language is dead, I'm telling you, as a cultural people, our Ponca culture, our Omaha culture is dead. And they say a people with no language has no culture. So you remember that when some of you guys are saying, of course it means woolly mammoth brine. That's the only thing Ponca's ever seen. But it's still used for modern day elephant. And the thing is you got to remember that we're on the verge of extinction. And I'm telling you, I believe that most Native Americans are, because let me tell you something. There's some cases you could Google and look, or go look these up on these indigenous websites. On the East Coast, there's some Native Americans that are full-bloods, but they can't speak their language anymore. And so, by them not being able to speak their language anymore, the federal government and Donald Trump, and I love Uncle Trump, don't get me wrong, but he's wrong in some areas. But at the same time, that should inspire you to want to speak your language. Don't sit there and act fake and think, well, I could sing some songs. I know you don't know your language. Learn it. And let me tell you something. I got to talk like this way. You got to understand that it's almost gone. There is not enough of us that's trying to teach it. There's not enough of us that are willing to learn it. Stop saying, I want to learn, and get your butt up and learn it. There's still people today that can teach it. And there's a lot of you guys that I see that I'm watching on, you grew up around Ponca. Let your heart open up. Let your mind open up. Ask God to help you. God help me. Ask Him to help you to open your mind. Because He will. I'm telling you, I've been around Ponca my whole life, and somebody's like, damn, I can't understand what they're saying. I heard part of it, but I didn't understand. And then one day, I just kept meditating and praying and praying. I said, God, help me, open my mind. Let me close out everything around me. Then all of a sudden, it started becoming clearer and clearer. Like, oh my God, I heard this my whole life. And I'm telling you, if you guys want that, each and every one of you can learn. And I don't know a damn thing. And I mean that. Don't you guys ever think Eagle Rod, Monchu Jinga, Ibahan, Idada Ibahan, Idada Bluga Ibahan. Because I don't know everything. He doesn't know everything. Speaking of myself in third person. But what little bit things I know, I'm trying to teach you guys. I paid a lot of money to a lot of elders, a lot of them dead. And people could vouch for what I'm saying. People will co-sign on what I'm saying. I was told an old saying a long time ago. They said, Uba Shedan Ata. Uba Shedan Ata. You have to pay for what you want. And it's a Ponca's right to die with what they know, with whether it's their bundles, their knowledge of how a bundle should be taken care of, certain songs that are sung in a certain way, in a certain order. That is their right. That is their God-given right in the Ponca culture to die with it. And there's people today that I know dying with certain things that I wish I could know. And even though I asked and I paid, but it was their choice on some things to tell me and some things not to tell me. And I did. I tried my hardest on them. And I actually thought at one time I was going to get something from somebody because of the way they spoke to me. But if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't. But the thing was, maybe I wasn't worthy to hold something that had great value. And not only that, these men that I spoke to, the majority of them were full-blood or almost full-blood. But either way, they're, in Ponca way, they were full-blood because they're clan members. And what I mean by clan members is their dad was a Ponca clan. Their mom might not even been a Ponca clan, but that doesn't mean nothing in our Ponca culture because you are what your father is. And even though I'm 3/4 Ponca, 75% Ponca, I'm always going to be looked at Wakahebe. I'm always going to be looked at as a half-breed, but I accept that. But I know that all my grandfathers and my uncles that are Lichida, Washabe, they took me in and singing and helping all the other stuff. And then I got we had this powwow I wanted to try to give away. I told my little brother, Bruce Collins, we're the same clan, same family. I want him to help me to further my singing because I'm so far behind after this 11 years. I always feel unsure when I sing sometimes, but I sing anyway. But at the same time, I don't want to shame my people or those that taught me. But the thing is, what I'm trying to tell you is, don't think I'm getting on to you, brother. Don't think I'm sitting there saying that, Brian. You're one of the few people that are going out of your way to learn our culture. You've been in our culture, so don't think I'm talking about you, brother. I'm not talking about you. I'm trying to encourage you, and that's what I'm working on. Because people say, Eagle, you talk so rough sometimes, but that's 11 years of being in prison. Sometimes it's kill or be killed. It's either eat or be eaten. And sometimes I have to get that mentality of my mom, but I'm trying. And let me tell you guys something. I need prayer. I'm struggling mentally. I'm healthy. I'm fit. Sometimes I get too aggressive. And let me tell you something. I love y'all. And Brian, you know I love you and Mama. So don't ever think I'm talking about you. And don't ever feel like you got to explain nothing to me. You can inbox me on anything. And I love you. And I'm proud of you. Proud of all your accomplishments too. And all you guys out there that are trying, I encourage each and every one of you, do your best out there. And don't think that people ain't rooting for you. And those of you are fighting, whether it's quitting smoking cigarettes or putting down that bottle or that drink or them drugs or whatever, or just stop eating so much, or quit being a mean person. Hey, I support you. I pray for you every day. I'm always sitting there rooting for you guys, and I'm going to root for the underdog. Let me tell you something. It's a hard world out here, but let me tell you something. We stay prayed up. We stay believing in Wakanda. Udu Nanji. Udu Nanji means to depend on God. To depend on God. And then, when you say Wakanda, Udu, hey, it means to trust in God. Udu, hey, means to trust in God. And Udu Nanji means to depend on Him. And that's what you guys got to do at the end of the day. I'm so proud of all you guys that are trying out there. And let me tell you something, Bruce Smith, I'm proud of you for doing your best teaching our Ponca language, but try to teach that writing system. And I understand what you're saying by the way you're writing it, because you're saying these people don't understand how to understand those ways, but you understand them. Brother, make them understand by showing them, teaching them, doing everything that you can. Because let me tell you something, Grandpa told me he taught you, and he said you was a decent student. And if he said decent student, that means that he was proud of what you did. And all you guys that are out there, the mistakes that you made in your past, don't let them dictate what your future is going to be. Trust in God and give everything to God and let God do His work, because even me, I have to tell myself, be silent. Be still. Be silent and be still. And you have to tell yourself that, because sometimes in this modern day, everything is so fast, everything's so rapid. You have to say, hey, be still, be quiet. Shana Gatega, Wonga de Weebaha.